you know? All right. This is Kerry Steller from MMA UK in the Girls Corner, Madness in MMA. And I am here speaking with Marcus Hemingway and Armad Bellamy from Cage Icons. How are you guys doing today?
Doing really well.
Yeah,
Doing
doing
really
great.
good.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no, thank you guys for coming on and talking to me. I find what you're doing really, really interesting, especially in this time of what's going on, people not working, people not making an income, fights not happening. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing, or you don't even have to say a little bit. Tell me about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we'll take a deep dive here. So yeah, this project has been in the works for probably over a year now. It started off as a passion project of mine. I'm a software engineer by trade. So I was wanting to learn mobile development, and I've always been taught, build something that you're passionate about, and that way you'll see it through to the end. So that's kind of where it started. Marcus and I have been fans of mixed martial arts probably for over 10 years now. We'd always get together on weekends with the rest of our buddies, grab some beers, and watch the fights and have a good time. And we just kind of realized that these athletes put their bodies on the line and their lives on the line every time they step into the octagon. And ultimately we wanted to do something just to give back, just to show our appreciation. And that's how Cage Icons came about. It was originally started as a content creation platform, similar to some of the others that are out here nowadays. But we wanted to differentiate ourselves. It's easy to get lost in the sauce on some of these other platforms like Patreon, where your fans have to explicitly look for you. We want to create a cohesive and a single source for all MMA and combat sports. So that's kind of what we're working on now, and we've started to roll into some new features prior to launch, and we are anticipating launch finally next month.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Like you said, it's a great time right now. Well, it's a good and bad time just for the world itself. We're having an opportunity to help these guys out just in their time. There's no fights going on with the exception of the 3 that was announced yesterday. I guess it's 3 UFC events, but some of the smaller promotions just aren't really having the opportunity to get out there and fight or practice, depending on where you live at. I know here in Georgia, they just started back training in the gyms, so they're back in the gyms now. But it's a good time for something like what we're doing to come out.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any fighters currently under your, I don't know what I want, a platform? Good word for it.
Yeah, so we've been doing some outreach, just trying to get the feel if anybody even wants to use this. So over the last couple months, we've just been just reaching out on Instagram and Twitter, just kind of casually, just gauging interest. And we have over 40 fighters signed up on our wait list right now, representing the UFC, PFL, Bellator, Invicta. And just even ONE FC. So we're touching all the major promotions now. So that's a good response initially, and I think that there's a need for what we are building, and it seems like there's a lot of energy. I think I heard a stat where there are close to 300 million fans worldwide of combat sports, and it's so diaspora where people are hopping on Instagram. There's small group chats on Reddit, but there's no one place to go where fighters and fans can really come together and connect. So we wanted to create that cohesive, we want to bridge that gap, and hopefully creating different ways to engage with both the fans and the fighters that will bring more awareness to the athletes that are creating content, and hopefully that'll kind of pad their bottom line just a bit, especially in times like this where if you're not fighting, you're not making any money. It was great to hear that the PFL is offering, I think they dropped a third of their roster, which is huge. So 2/3 of the athletes are getting $1,000 stipends, which is great. But at the same time, people have families and mouths to feed as well. So, $1,000 is only going to get you so far.
Yeah, we've had an opportunity to go to a lot of events in Philly and just around that area, the North Jersey and South Jersey area. And we've gotten a lot of interest from the fighters just at the events, just having a chance to engage with them and just see how they would feel about a platform like we're offering. And they've been all positive. It's like, oh my God, I'm glad somebody is actually doing this. Just I have to go to work after this fight and actually load boxes in a truck for hours, and after just doing a 5-round fight, So something like this would be perfect. And there's just a positivity that we've gotten, especially from PFL, CFFC, and promotions like that.
That's good. And it's right now, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many different variables to this whole thing besides, fights not happening, fighters not being able to train. One, it costs to train. It's not cheap. Anybody that's around fighters in the fight game knows it costs a lot of money. Especially when a fight falls through and they just paid for that whole training camp and then, the tournament and everything it costs money. In regards to the PFL, they're paying their fighters. I was so taken aback that they let go of so many of their fighters at the same time. That upset me a little bit. I was like, they didn't have to do that, especially at a time like this. But that's just my personal opinion on them. We're here to talk about you guys. We can touch on that in a little bit and everything else, but
Yeah.
We're here to talk.
I guess you got to do what you got to do in these times. As you're seeing a lot of that go around now. People just doing what they got to do. It's survival mode at this point.
Mm-hmm.
People got to. Unfortunately, it has to be that way. They have to do what they have to do.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that if you look at fighters and people in combat sports, how much money they don't make, and how much it costs them. And these are guys that give up everything to fight for these promotions. So it's that double edge.
Yeah, and you touched on it. You said the training. They need nutritionists. Maybe they want to go to Abu Dhabi and train over there. They have to pay for that to travel.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff that unfortunately fans don't know. It's just like, they look good and they do all this fights and they knock somebody out in 30 seconds. How did they get to that point? Was what people don't really understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of those hidden kind of costs where, I think you see all the outliers. You see the Connors and you think everyone's, flying high and, taking private jets to venues, but, people are packing their cars up. I believe you had last year Adam Milstead on, and, he was talking about, he blew out his knee, fighting Curtis Blades. And, some of the upper echelon, men and women on the roster, they get taken care of. They'll definitely cut the check and ensure they get the best doctors. But, he said he just had to rough it out. Thankfully he had some people in his corner that, were able to back him and support him, get him to the rehab process. But yeah, it's real life. Once the lights shut off on the show, people return back to their 9-to-5s and, their kids and their families. And, if they got a bum knee, they got to, they don't have a chrome plated wheelchair to, usher them around. They got to, struggle through it as well. So yeah, just some of those hidden costs, training, and, a lot of these things that, people just kind of go through just to show up. It's just one of those additional things where we just want to, like, all right, enough's enough. Let's get back. You hear about the UFC's Reebok deal, and then, all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that took away from the fighters' mouths. And, it's been portrayed as, I think from the UFC and Dana White's side as a win-win. Everybody won, the new gear looks great. There's a new polish to the UFC that it quote unquote brought. But, you look at all the sponsorships that are just lost, and that's money that people are using just to kind of get by. And an extra $2,000 on a check for the Reebok deal on fight night, that's great. What do you want, a pat on the back? But, we think we can do more. And that's another one of the reasons why we started this is, ultimately, I think one of the visions that we have is just to unite, the athletes and give them a voice on a common front where, a lot of these athletes are really hesitant to speak up because, that may mean they get dropped from a fight or they just don't get that call. So, hopefully if we can just kind of get a solid, contingency together, then maybe we can work towards this. I know Project Spearhead is out there. That was one of the initiatives to kind of, kick this off. But you look what happened. She's no longer in the UFC. It's usually the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But unfortunately, that's how the business goes. So just to provide a different avenue for fighters to bring in a couple extra dollars a month. That's what we're here for. That's how we started, and hopefully that's how we'll continue to grow.
It'd be nice to see, and nice to see fighters have different avenues to go down, so to speak, during their career, after their career. And, there's a lot of factors. There really is. There's just too many factors that go into it that, it is a good idea. And I think that you guys have something really great there. And I think that the fighters are responding, you know, and you're launching in May, correct?
That's correct.
At the beginning, ends, because this is like soon.
Well, pending Apple's approval process. So yeah, we were still doing some robust testing. So, the crux of our application is ensuring fighters get paid. So, we can't drop the ball on that. You only get one shot to make a good impression. So yeah, we want to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and people get their money on time. I know people are out here still looking for their Trump checks. So we can't be having another one of these references.
Yeah, no, and transparency is huge, and that's so funny. It's like that, it's weird because they actually have a portal where I put in my whole information. I was like, when am I getting my? I didn't even know if I had it. I have a direct deposit, but I didn't know if my tax guy was able to put it in there. And for like weeks, I was checking it for like I guess 2 weeks, and it kept on saying something about your information, your status isn't available. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Does that mean I'm not getting it? And my other one's like, no, if you look at, they not only tell you a gauge of when you're going to get it because of like when you filed, and I filed a little later, not after the deadline. And then there's just so much, but supposedly we're getting two, so I can't complain about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything helps.
It's far from upsetting. I could use the new GoPro Max, it's a little couple things for, to spice up my, ambiance, and everybody needs it, and at the end of the day, why do you think that they did that? They did that so people would stimulate the economy through things like this avenue. Just so many things that people are going to run out and want to spend money on people like us that are like, we did interviews and stuff like that. You want to step up your game, and why not when you can have an extra $1,200 that theoretically, if you spend it right, like a GoPro's, the max is only $499. You get that. You have
I get it on sale.
Yeah, that's not a bit, and I'm waiting for Corona sales. That's as fucked up as it sounds. That's what I've been waiting for the whole time. I'm like, yo, everything's gonna go.
Yeah.
Mattress I want. I'm just waiting for that to go on sale. Like a Tempur-Pedic, you go on their website once a week, something else goes on sale. I'm telling you, once a week. So you get something like almost like 40% off. It's 40% off anyway you slice it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Capitalize it. I'm just trying to stimulate my fridge right now, ensure that it's stocked.
No, stimulate life. It's so funny, and it's, you can look at this. I mean, not you in general. You could look at this as a bad thing, or you could look at it as a good thing. Like you were saying, there's a lot of positives I personally think are going to come out of this whole situation.
I hope so.
Maybe the way people live and make money would be a really good. And the rumors that I hear from all the reading and. Although I read so many articles just to find out what on the sidelines might happen. And I'm hearing rumors about because taxation in general is unconstitutional. So we're going to get a lot of our older constitutional rights, like stuff like that. Yeah, if you look into it, it's unconstitutional to tax people. Income tax is one of them, one of the biggest ones.
It's unconstitutional, but ask Wesley Snipes how that turned out for him for now.
Well, you know what? Now things are changing though. And they're forcibly changing, which is awesome because we're forced to see it all as a whole picture and how things are actually done, which is really, for people that I didn't pay attention in school, I'll be honest, but I read a lot. So for me, it's good because I can read and I can see what goes on, right? But for the average everyday person that doesn't know, we're seeing it all unfold at the federal level, at the state level, and even local level. So if you look at it that way, you're really able to get a really good grasp if you're watching all the different subsets of government. It's really, you could get a really good grasp on everything as a whole, and it's kind of a cool time in that respect too.
I can't wait for the Stephen King movie to come out about the whole situation.
It's been out. Are you kidding me? Every movie that you've ever seen in your life, I am guaranteeing you, it does not come from nowhere.
Right.
There are pictures, right, of different famous people that they've put them side by side of people in history, like way long ago. No reason these people, and you could say everybody has a twin, but identical pictures is just a little too much for me, So then when you look at it, my cat's being crazy in there. You look at that factor, right? So now you got a lot of people studying all sorts of things. And from what one of my friends says, that they're going to be studying a lot of physics and stuff because if you look at stuff like that, where has science gone? Where has science come? Where is it going to go from here? You know what I mean? Like the possibilities at this point, how many testings they're doing and how many different for antibodies for this, for that, for the third. It's like they're testing for things I didn't even know they could.
Yeah,
Are you a carrier? Are you a carrier?
these are definitely times where, I think when we're pushed to the brink, I think I just saw an article earlier today regarding NASA developed, a different methodology to create a ventilator. And they've been working on this for like the last like 25, 30 days where, some of the best innovations have come when we've just been under pressure and in a crunch. So
Right.
there will be some good that comes out of this.
I definitely think so. And I think with the fight community, we have a bunch of females that are from really a lot of girls. I know we have a couple from Jersey. We have a couple from Jersey and from pretty much all over the United States right now. I don't know if we have anybody outside, but we just started a huge group I think I'm the only journalist in there as of now. But I've been doing this forever. So it's like they were like, I started it with Kaylee, and she was like, let's do this for awareness for trafficking, for human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a girl in the group who's an amateur fighter who was actually, I mean, that close to being a trafficking victim, where there were 39 people arrested within the conspiracy of this whole situation. They were finding girls that were drugging girls' drinks, like pretty girls that were going around. That's how they were doing it.
Yeah,
So
it was a girl maybe like a couple weeks ago who talked about that at another show, saying how she's a professional fighter. I think she's UFC girl. She stopped some guy on the train that was trying to traffic another girl, and I want to say she kicked his ass, but I'm not 100% sure. But she stopped it from happening.
if you can find out who she is, let me know, because I'm going to put her in the group, because we're trying to get a group of girls that are bringing awareness, as in not just
Molly Meatball. Yeah,
I
that's her
love
name.
her. I have to message her. She is awesome. She's a really cool chick. She's got a great personality. Yeah. She's like a person's person. She's someone that you could really talk to.
Yeah. That interview was great. Just her telling the story about how it all went down. Human trafficking is a whole nother thing, but it was awesome that she was there to stop it from happening.
Absolutely. That's actually really a lot of what's going on right now. Tim Kennedy and I talked about it in our interview. And because I said to him, there's a lot of talk about trafficking going on during this, which is really, to me, a weird time certain things that are being brought up during this whole pandemic are just a little bizarre, right? Federal executions and he said, no, it's very much going on. That's what we're trained underground to fight. What you're not going to do in the light of people to see is illicit things. So it's cool to see fighters come into that and really want to help. I mean, there's so many. It's incredible.
That's awesome. How long have you guys been doing this?
To be honest, I've been researching for about 6 or 7 years. What I believe is going on besides the virus is just one thing. I think it's a whole cohesive of so many different things, even on the spiritual level, so many different things. But the trafficking really, like where we all got together and started really getting involved in the last couple of weeks, because when you start looking at what they're saying at the addresses and all the talks about the trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and you start looking it up and start looking up cases that are happening and different kinds of traffic, organ. I mean, it's crazy shit I've ever seen in my life. And then really in the last couple of weeks, this has been like a very big focus for a lot of people. Because all of a sudden it's been brought to light where a lot of it was thought as conspiracies, but now you have like Brandon Vera speaking out about it. Not a lot. He said I spoke to him. He's got to be PC, which I understand. Some things you can't really talk too much about. Tito Ortiz talks about it all the time. Vladimir Kozbakov, there's a whole bunch of them that people are starting to finally speak out about it, which is nice, because you want to know that there's a lot of good that's coming of this, and they're able to do it because, hey, no one's on the streets, no one's, you know what I mean? Like, think of it that way.
Yep. And I think that the issue, people always think of like, oh, if I'm going to take a foreign trip abroad, I do have to worry about, getting kidnapped and trafficked, but, it's right here at home. It's in our own backyards. As you just mentioned, the more awareness and the greater spotlight we can put on this, I think that's going to help push this initiative, and, hopefully we can put a dent in this problem, because it's pretty disgusting.
Take you guys into that, because there's going to be a lot of awareness and stuff, and maybe some of the fighters from there we can kind of do a cross.
Absolutely.
getting people involved, which would help them, help you guys.
Yes.
You know, and who doesn't want to do that? You know what I mean? I'm all about communities helping communities and people helping each other. And, you know, oh man, I cannot wait for fights to get started back up. I'm so upset about PFL because I was really looking forward to being able to come out to Jersey for that. Like that was my thing last summer. And I just, I wish they would put on like some kind of super card on New Year's Eve because that was the best night of my life the last couple ones I went to.
That was my biggest beef where, you know, it's just like, I know they've got some venture funding and some, you know, that they're very well funded. They've got quite a few investors.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think just putting on just a March Madness format, just a condensed, you know, consolidated schedule. You know, I know they just put on I think it was the foreign competition that they did overseas. So, you know, granted, maybe they couldn't bring those, you know, athletes over, but, you know, a month and a half, you know, I think that would have just, you know, been beneficial. It would help their momentum because, you know, Marcus and I attended, I think 3 events last year, and, you know, they've got great production quality. They do a really great job at, you know, telling the athletes stories. You know, I think that's another reason why, you know, we're doing what we are, as well as, you know, to help bridge that gap in between those 3 and 4 months when they take fights, just to, you know, keep their name out there where, you know, they shouldn't just pop up, you know, just because they're on a fight card. You know, these people have amazing, incredible journeys in their day-to-day lives, and, you know, just to continue sharing that, and, you know, I think is important. And yeah, you know, I love their format. I love what they do, and it is unfortunate, but, you know, UFC is digging in, and, you know, they found a way to put on the show, and I think they have 4 upcoming events, and
I think 4, but they're doing 3 in a week.
Yeah.
Now,
the 9th, the 13th, and the 16th, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. And now, you know, it's crazy because I'm a numbers person, right? So I look at things from a different perspective, and I want to know obviously what's going on, especially with UFC wanting to show to throw events. Like, what's the likelihood of people getting, you know, contracting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if people are going to be in and out of this venue unless it's held in, like, say, a convention center or a hotel where they have, you know what I mean? Something small enough but big enough where they can have the octagon, the security, the personnel, everybody that they need, right? They're going to need to rigorously test everybody to make sure that nobody has it, right?
Yep.
Or is the numbers wrong? You know, are they looking at it wrong? So, like, Dana White's not a stupid man, I don't think, and I don't think anybody around him is stupid, and I don't think that ESPN would allow him to do something if, you know what I mean? Like, too many factors to me that say that, you know, I watched a video today and it said the guy was like, they need to open a country up as immediately because it's going to be the worst, the things that are going to happen with the economy closing and people being stuck in their houses and, you know, spousal abuse, shit like that. It's not going to end well. So, and I'm listening to him and he's like, you know, people need to build up immunities while you're sitting inside. You're not getting, you know, any immunities to anything else that's going to start coming around in the next couple of weeks. And there's always something that comes around in the summertime, then in the fall. And it's true, you do. I mean, I've never gotten, I mean, knock on, no, I'm not even gonna knock on wood. I don't get sick. I really hardly do. Never got the flu shot, don't get the flu. You know what I mean? So for me, when I looked at the numbers and listened to his video, I'm like, you know, maybe he's right within reason. Look at what Sweden did. Sweden's right next to Norway. And they have almost the same numbers. The variation is so small, but it's the variation next to the population. So the numbers, they match up with every other country, mind you. Even their death rate's a lot lower. Like, I mean, and the percentage is like slight percentage, but it's still a lot lower when you look at it. And what Sweden did was they didn't do any kind of quarantine. It's just social distancing. They quarantined only the sick people, which is usually what you do for something like that. And then they they quarantined the sick people and they made you go out with a mask, right? Which I'm totally for that. I have no problems. I'll go outside with a mask. I'm not fighting that. I'm fighting everything else, right? So if you look at it, is Dana White doing the wrong thing? I don't think so. A lot of people are saying he's doing the wrong thing. And the more I think about it, if anybody is going to rigorously test their fighters and the people that are going to be attending this event, it is going to be the UFC.
Yeah. I guess you say if the WWE can do it, he can do it. So.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence there because, you know, I think it only takes one chance encounter where, you know, someone's, you know, signed up for a show, they just got tested, they run into a 7-Eleven or, you know, grab a drink and, you know, all of a sudden they're bringing it right back around everyone else. So, yeah.
because you could be healthy, but who are you bringing around to? Now, I won't sign up for a vaccine, right? I have no desire. That's not happening. I don't like it. The ones that we already had when we were babies, a lot of them are probably worn off, but you build natural immunities to things that are around every day. So for me, never going to get a vaccine, but I would get tested because I can tell you, I've been around so many people and you probably have too, people that were really sick, say 6, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, maybe September till when they figured all this out. There were people that were like really sick and couldn't get over it, but we're not coming up with the flu. We're not coming up. They weren't testing it for this, so they weren't coming up for that. And they were coming up with like undiagnosable lung disease and all shit, right?
Yep.
I want to know why they're not doing numbers and looking back that far to get real data, because I guarantee you a lot of us have natural immunity or antibodies or something as to why some of us didn't get it, or we might have gotten like me, I might have gotten it like for a 5.5 seconds because my body just, whenever I get sick, it's like, bye, this isn't happening. So it's true. It's true. And I think it's a mental thing too. But I think if they looked at it like that, and I don't think Dana White's a stupid guy. And, to be honest, political, tell people political reasons outside of, who the party is or whatever, there was a reason why Trump asked him to be one of the people on that committee, the task force to reopen the country. There was a reason. Because Dana White's not dumb. Neither is, who was the other guy, the owner of the basketball team that he has on board?
Yeah, that guy, the guy from Duke.
Right?
Silver. Is it Adam Silver?
No, I feel like it's the guy from Shark Tank, Mark something.
Oh, Mark Cuban.
Oh, Mark Cuban. Yeah.
Cuban or Robert Kraft.
Yes, smart guy, right? So he picked a panel of really smart people, in my personal opinion. And if they're all saying that the country or things should be reopened at a small amount like that, I say, you know what? But like you said, there's still that little possibility that what if it is that bad? It's just such a fucking fine line.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think the argument is always like, I think Dana mentioned that, fighters are just kind of blowing his line up and, saying that, hey, we're hungry, we want to fight, and we're willing to take that chance. I think, I'm sure that's in their contract and that's in their waiver that, they're kind of putting their health and lives on the line as it is. So, I think it's ultimately at their discretion. I think they know what they're getting themselves into and the potential exposure that may happen. But yeah, I think, the show must go on per se. It's interesting to me that this is happening in Florida. Marcus and I are both from the South. I'm in Philly now, but Georgia is one of the first states to shut down and then reopen up after 2.5 weeks. So that's a social experiment in itself. But it's one thing. The last UFC card got shut down when they tried to have it on the Indian reservation. So you see all this like skirting of the system where Indian reservations have been taken advantage of for so long now. Just that entire culture, and for them to say, hey, we're willing to host a card for probably a fat payday just to keep the lights on, and then for Florida to be the only other entity that says like, yeah, come on in, like let's just hold a show. I think it kind of rubs me wrong, but if they got full buy-in, the mouse is signed up. They pulled the plug a couple weeks ago. So I don't know what changed, but it is what it is. I'm not calling the shots, so I'll be tuning in to watch the fights. So.
Yeah. It could go either way. It's such a dicey situation, and my only thing is that I look at the one case that we can look at of a fighter, Lyman Good, friend of mine.
Yeah, Lyman Good.
He had COVID. He pulled from the fight for an injury. Mm-hmm. Not too long later, I guess a couple days ago, that he had diagnosed with this. Now, I'm supposed to do an interview with him in the next week. I want to know when does he think he got it, because he was at a pool tournament that I had co-thrown, and one of our players had gotten it, and he came in from Florida. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, but it shows that a perfectly healthy guy who takes care of himself can get it, but now also he was in fight camp. Mm. So is that showing that maybe the cutting weight, depleting? I don't know. There's so many factors, but like you said, we're going to tune in and find out.
Yeah. Those fight camps, these fighters are coming in already immunocompromised, cutting so much weight. So yeah, you're definitely that much more susceptible and vulnerable to these things. But yeah, it's just tough to see because, for one, it's to say like, yeah, I got COVID and yeah, it sucked and, I thought my world was ending. But how many of the people, the 50,000 that are here to tell the story of how bad. So it's just like,
50,000 and growing.
Yeah, I look at that side of it, and it's just like, all right, is it worth putting on events where all of it takes is one person to come down, and just you'd hate to hear that in the name of sports. I think we're all eager and ready to just see some action. I don't know how many fights I've watched on Fight Pass just on repeat right now, just itching for action. But yeah, we'll see.
Watch anything you can, right?
That's it.
Well, guys, one, I wanted to thank you so very much for taking some time to talk to me during this quarantine. And two, anytime you guys want to come on and we could do like a breakdown of fights, we could watch a fight and do a live reaction. You guys hit me up, let me know. It's been a lot of fun. You guys are great. I like you both. If you guys can tell me and our audience where to follow you on social media, find Cage Icons and yourselves, because you guys are awesome too. Floor is yours.
All right. Yeah. So, I guess, first of all, we're on Instagram, Twitter, the usual social outlets at Cage Icons. And then you can find out some information at cageicons.com. And we are looking to have some really exciting things. We're looking to really just kind of switch it up and innovate and really hit the ground running next month. So you're talking about live opportunities. So we'll keep you looped in here. So I think it's going to be great.
And Marcus, where can I be followed? Both of your personal, do you have both of you have personal accounts?
So my Instagram account is it's pretty much the Cage Icons account. I don't even think I use my own Instagram account, to be honest with you. On Twitter, I do a little fantasy football reporting. So you can find me on Twitter at MARS__14, something along those lines. But that's pretty much it for me. Outside of Twitter, I don't really use any social networks.
Yeah, it's like, how many can you use?
Yeah. Twitter is probably the best one, though. I mean, you got all your news right there. You still can contact with people, and it's probably the best one for me.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to speak to me. And I look forward to seeing you guys and what you're building on social media and on your website. I was checking it out today and the other week. And I look forward to it. Keep me posted. I will definitely put some information out there for you guys as to when the launch is. And I look forward to speaking to you guys soon.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Great time, Gary.
Yes, and definitely, hopefully we can meet up at a fight whenever the country.
We will.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen.
Have a great day, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
You
Take
too.
care.